tell me about mirror image. Let's just take a seat for a second.
Okay. Actually, I could do with the break.
I
could do with the break. I don't want to
take you away from this amazing work that you're doing. Good.
That's fine.
So tell me about mirror image. Where did you get that name from?
Okay. Well, there's a little bit of a story behind it. Many years ago, I did an exhibition and I met a jazz photographer. Okay. And I was totally blown away by his work. And I was really into my black and white phase at that time, black and white portrait drawing. And he saw some of my pieces and he said, you know, it's amazing how, as a photographer, we try and make our photographs more like art. He says, but you're making your art look more like photographs. So he said it's like a reversal. He said it's like you're really mirroring the person, trying to make them look really real. So I was like, so that kind of stuck in my head a little bit. So for years I've been saying I love that mirror image. Yeah, so that's why that name, mirror image, has really stuck with me. Wow. And I've always said, you know, when I start a business, in the portrait business, I would call it mirror image.
And it really does speak of what you do. It's just so true to life. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
So did you study this? Because this is such a talent that I don't even think someone could study how to do it. How did this start? Did you, because I don't think you can study to do this. This is a supernatural, amazing talent. How did this come about?
That's really kind.
It's amazing.
Well, I used to draw when I was a little girl anyway. And what happened was, it's a bit of a testimony really. I used to sketch and draw and what have you, and then when I decided to go into my career, which was to study to be a nurse,
I see.
I kind of put that to one side, and I did CSE at school, so and I got grade 1 in the days of CSE, and I prayed, and during my time of prayer, I started to feel this urge to want to draw again.
So sorry to cut you. When you say prayer, were you a Christian at the time? Or?
No.
Okay,
but when I was a kid, I used to go to Sunday school.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I went to Sunday school, and so that kind of came back to me. Yeah, so I started to pray. I got my strength from there, and I just felt like, you know what, I'm going to start drawing again. But what was amazing, usually I just have a pencil and a piece of paper and I just sketch. But this time I just went all out. I went to the art shop and I just bought a load of pastels.
Just like that?
Just like that. Yeah, nothing I've ever done before. But a load of pastels, got myself some paper, went to the wood shop and bought myself a piece of cheap wood. And I went in my living room, sat on the floor, set it all up, and a friend of mine had given me a photograph, a black and white photograph. And I just thought, you know, I want to draw this. I'm going to draw this. So I just literally...
Just like that?
Yeah. And I just focused and I just zoned out and I started drawing. And it was through that experience that I discovered drawing the way I draw now. And, you know, I was really, really inspired. And to be honest, even when I was drawing, it wasn't a mindful thing. It's like I was just looking at the thing and I was drawing, but I was, to put it into words, how can I put it into words? It's kind of like, it wasn't so much of a conscious thing.
Okay, not planned like,
yeah,
do this now.
I'd just sit down and then it'd just be flowing. Even when I finished the portrait, it was so funny. I remember when I finished the portrait, one of my neighbours, she came round and she looked at the portrait and she was like, "Why did you draw that?" And I said, "Yeah." And the way she was going on, I was like looking at her and I was thinking, is she all right? Why is she going on like the way she's going on?
How was she going on?
She's like, "Oh, I can't believe you drew that. Oh, that is amazing."
She was amazed.
Yeah, and I was like, I couldn't see what she was. I couldn't see it. I couldn't see what she was seeing. And then I took it to. I said, "Let me take it to get it framed. I'll just get it framed anyway." So I got it framed, and then even the guy who was framing the picture said, "Oh, you know, you're so talented and stuff." And I was just like, "Oh, thank you." And I said, "It's a lot of fuss. It looks good. It looks okay, but I really cannot see what all the fuss is about." So yeah. So from then I decided to do it just as a hobby, and just the challenge of, as I said, capturing people's characters and spirits. So it's just something I did for myself rather than for anybody else. And then eventually I started to draw and just give my work away. Just give it away. And, yeah.
So coming from you doing that and then into a hobby, and the name you've mentioned mirror image. How does that all tie up together now? You taking this into a business? Is it already a business?
Yeah, just recently registered the business Mirror Image Portrait Limited.
For us,
it's available. It is normal people.
this is so amazing. This is unbelievable. So now I can have something like this drawn for myself or people I know. Really?
Yeah.
And is that like now it's available?
It's available now. Yeah, I have got some commissions lined up.
Amazing.
At the moment, and I really thank God. Because even before the company's gone live already, I've only been commissioned. But
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And you say it so lightly, let me just touch you for that. It's real. It's absolutely real.
Actually, I feel a bit embarrassed.
Why? And when you do it, do you look back at it and say, okay, I did that? Do you dance around the room that, oh, I did that?
No, it's mixed. It's mixed fit. Sometimes I look at it and I think, wow, because in a sense I don't feel as though it's me drawing it.
Really?
I feel a bit detached. It's really, to put it into words. I don't feel as though it's me drawing it. I don't know. It's just something that's just flowing through me.
That's powerful.
Like a vessel, and it's just creativity just flowing through me.
It's amazing. So from that, tell me the types of people you've been commissioned to do, or celebrities you've met.
Okay.
I know you've got some names that I've heard.
Okay.
And I can't even believe myself.
Okay.
So just start maybe from the beginning.
From the beginning.
Bring us forward.
Okay. Well, after, I thank God, despite all that I went through, I qualified. Amazing. As a nurse in 1991. So I decided after that to get away from Birmingham. That's where I was doing. That's where I'm from.
That's where you're from. Okay.
Probably can pick up a little bit of a Brummie accent. I'm trying to deal with that one. Thank you. So I moved from Birmingham and I moved to London briefly, and then I moved to Brighton. And I wanted to spend some time by the sea. I wanted some inspiration. And I put my nursing to one side a little bit and started to draw. And I remember looking at the newspaper. It was a Voice newspaper. I remember, and it was at that time Shabba Ranks, a very famous reggae artist. I don't know if you're probably too young to remember. You remember him. Okay, you've heard from one of your big brothers or something. They've told you about that's it. Right. Okay, so at that time he had a number one. He was very famous, and he had a number one record at the time. And I saw this image of him in the paper, and it wasn't because it was Shabba Ranks. I just liked the image.
I see. And
I thought, I want to draw this image, very strong image. So I contacted the Voice newspaper, and they put me onto his company. Were promoting him at the time, and then they sent me the photograph and said, "Oh, we'd quite like to see it when you've done it." And I was like, "Wow, okay." So anyway, I drew the portrait and contacted them, and went to London, went to their office, showed them the portrait, and I didn't realise at the time that Shabba Ranks was in the country. So I just went there, just said, okay, they like it. I thought, oh good, they like the picture, brilliant. Let me take it and go back to Brighton. So the next thing, the lady got on the phone and she was talking to somebody on the phone. She goes, I want to see the picture. The picture's freezing. I said, what does she mean by freezing? Freezing. I said, is she insulting my picture? Freezing. Obviously, it was a very street turn, so it's really cool, whatever. So, anyway. So I was like, oh, okay. And then she goes, oh, hang on. Let me ask her. And she says, are you going to be around London for a while? And I said, well, I'm supposed to be going back tonight. And she says, oh. And she says, because Shabba's here and he wants to see the picture. And I nearly fell over because I wasn't expecting. I was like, what? I said, he's here. So anyway, they arranged for me to meet him, and he saw it, and he loved it so much. And he said, I want to give it to Mama Christie, that's his mum, and he was saying how he was going to frame it and everything. So he bought, that was my first sale. So he bought it.
That is unbelievable.
So I was like, wow. So I was really, really happy.
Unbelievable.
So that was that. And so I thought, okay, there's something in this, isn't there? So my work must be okay then, because Wow. So I was really happy. So then the next one I did after that, I moved back to London. Sorry, I moved back to London after that.
Yeah.
And then I decided to do a few pieces of work. And I got a part-time job working in a restaurant, a very trendy little restaurant in Brixton, restaurant bar. And I thought it'd be good to put my piece of work up on the walls there, and then just work as a waitress and just hear what people are saying about the work.
Wow.
I said, let me just hear what kind of feedback, you know. I was getting a lot of positive feedback. And I remember I did a portrait of Bobby Brown. Again, not because it was Bobby Brown, but I just liked the image.
He was very famous as well.
Very famous at that time. He just rejoined with New Edition at that time, and they released an album out. And the lady who was I think she was one of the directors of Choice FM radio at the time. She used to come to that restaurant and have her meetings and stuff. And she saw my work and she said, oh, what would be very good for you would be for you to donate that picture to Bobby Brown himself. It'd look really good in your CV. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, so it would, wouldn't it? And I was like, yeah. And then she said, in fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to arrange for you to meet him. I said, he's coming for an interview with New Edition at Choice FM, so I'm going to set it up. You know, if you can take the portrait to show the one of the managers there. And she gave me the name. And I was like, wow. Okay, and I was like, is this really happening? I was like, wow, this is really weird. Anyway, so it happened. So I went the next day and I got to meet him and the band and everything, and he received it really, really well, and he was really respectful. Wow. And I met him again after that, and he did say to me he wanted me to do a portrait of him and Whitney Houston. I'm saying Whitney like I know her. I first said, yeah, him and Whitney. Yeah, and I was like, wow. But then it didn't happen. It wasn't meant to be at that time.
You to do that. If
but
he
he asked.
I'm sure he wouldn't have.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my gosh, wow. So that was him, and then.